because you were censored at that, immunisation meeting. You started a newsletter back in 2012. Was it because you felt so silenced that you needed to try and get your voice out somehow? Was that the premise for the newsletter?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was noticing even at the university, I mean, my course required that I give presentations in front of the rest of the class. But when it got to my presentation, no, I was to give mine in a closed room with just my supervisors, and so I was able to actually, in that situation, invite my friends. So I did invite a few friends, but and I would also find if I was going to present some work that lo and behold, the time would run out before they'd get to me that day to be able to present my work in a class. So there was a number of things that I really detected as I was going through that was suppressing the science. And even when I wrote letters to these authorities, the answers I was getting back, I suddenly realised, well, it's no good me just seeing this. I need other people to see it. So I started by just copying friends and family in, and gradually it just got bigger and bigger until it was international. And that was by 2015. I had a pretty big international following, and which was important because when my PhD was published, the lobby groups, including Peter McIntyre, who was at that stage the director of the NCIRS, the body that is meant to look at the risk benefits of these before they get put on the schedule, they decided to make a petition, and put the petition into the university to try and prevent my PhD from being approved, being publicised. I mean, we had to dot every I and cross every T to get it finished in the first place, and we had international examiners, so I had to bend over backwards to get it actually approved. And then the lobby groups, showed their true colours by trying to inappropriately use a petition to remove it from a university. But the Vice Chancellor supported my PhD. He said to them, look, we will investigate our PhD procedures, but we will not be investigating Judy Wilyman's PhD.
Yeah, that was going to be another question about how the university actually responded to all this, because I suspect they would have been under a heck of a lot of pressure, and even from, I think, the Australian skeptics and others probably not being happy or favourable in regards to them not being harder, I suspect.
I think that's just the tip of the iceberg with respect to the experiences I had at university trying to get this information out. I mean, there's a number of things I really should point out. In 2015, which was the year I was finishing my PhD, a student from the University of Technology in Sydney who was in media and communication, she was a parent of 3 children, and she wanted to know if she should be using all these in her children. Like myself, we were wanting to see the evidence. And this was the year that Scott Morrison tabled this mandatory no jab, no play and pay policy, which incentivized parents with approximately $26,000 or more per year per child to use every on the schedule. So she invited me to a debate at the university, and we would invite Scott Morrison, Christian Porter, the top health officials at the time, Peter McIntyre, Robert Bowie. There were actually 45 people that we invited. And we also had to invite the health minister, etc., because even though this was going through social sciences, of course, it's a health issue. So they were included in the invite. And not a single one of them would come to this public forum of parents to present the evidence for this no jab, no pay and play. So that's 45 authorities declined. And we did a video of this, Mark. It's on my website. So what we did instead was we got another allied health professional to debate with me. And I actually presented the government's case from the public interest information from the Academy of Science and the evidence that they had provided. I presented that to the people, and then we presented the other side as well, and we had this debate. You know, all of the fact is that they were pushing through this bill that means life and death to the population, to children and parents. It also determines quality of life, because if you're disabled by a vaccine, your quality of life is destroyed forever and you can't get that back. And yet not a single person from the government would come to debate it, and they pushed it through that year in November, and by that time they'd swapped Scott Morrison with Christian Porter, and then he signed off on it, and the next year Malcolm Turnbull brought it in January 2016. I'll just add there that in 2016, that's when my PhD was first published on the University of Wollongong website, because I finished at the end of 2015 and they published it January 2016. And for a whole week, the Australian skeptics and leaders of the Savin group, Dr. John Cunningham, were allowed to publish editorials and comment on my PhD in the Australian newspaper, the Sydney Morning Herald, for a whole week after it was published on the website in January 2010, smearing the research, calling it a conspiracy theory because I mentioned that the World Health Organization was being directed by the Gavi Alliance, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded Gavi Alliance that included the manufacturers of, which is the pharmaceutical companies, and they were influencing the government policy. But no, they were allowed to say that's all conspiracy theory and denigrate me, and it happened for a whole week, Mark. This destroying my reputation. And then I noticed that, and I might say John Cunningham, Dr. John Cunningham, he in 2014, prior to the no jab, no pay policy being tabled in Parliament, Dr. John Cunningham made a complaint through the university about my research that had been completed in 2006. Right, so I was at the university in 2006 and I did a major project on the whooping cough. In 2014, Dr. John Cunningham, who was the leader of the Stop the Australian Vaccination Network, a lay group linked to the Australian skeptics, was allowed to misuse the university's complaint procedures to make this smear of academic misconduct. Now, the media published that as soon as that was made, he was allowed to be anonymous. The media publicised my name with, charged with academic misconduct. That ran through the media for the whole day. It took 9 months for that claim to be investigated by the university, and they found at the end that it wasn't actually a charge of misconduct. It was named, and also that John Cunningham had misused the university's complaint procedures to debate scientific information. And when I asked for a press release so that this research could be vindicated to the public so they could make informed decisions on these issues, they declined, they refused. So you see, they achieved their purpose. The industry lobby groups have control of the complaint procedures in all these institutions. They also influence all media institutions, the Australian skeptics, and they make these complaints with impunity, and then even when they're found wrong, and the Vice Chancellor of the university put up a public statement, well, sent me the letters which I was allowed to put on my website, saying that they'd misused the processes, that there was no misconduct. It's too late. My reputation's destroyed with all my friends and family, and the people are then again confused about the research, and they get away with it.